The Colemans had faced conflict, loss, and unending adversaries, but nothing could have readied them for the blade that would be thrust into their ranks by someone they held dear. As pressures escalate and their options narrow, one act of deceit shifts everything concurrently. Silas and Amelia's voyage becomes increasingly dangerous, with threats appearing at every juncture, but just when they believe the worst is behind them, destiny delivers another blow. For the Coleman family, misfortune is a constant companion. With betrayal staining their hands and retribution in their souls, they must determine, will they defend what is rightfully theirs, or will duplicity dismantle them permanently? The dawn breaks over the Clearwater holding, painting the landscape with a golden light, but the morning's charm does little to dispel the palpable tension. Jonah Coleman stands near the stables, his hands on the weathered fence post, watching his crew prepare for the arduous day. A disquiet settles in his spirit, a faint premonition of danger he cannot shake. The territory has always been contested, but today, something feels distinctly ominous. Sarah Coleman feels it too. Inside the main house, she moves through the kitchen, her thoughts troubled. She has weathered her share of trials, but this current unease feels like a tempest gathering just out of sight. The family has suffered too much grief already, and with rivals circling like buzzards, she knows tranquility is a fragile hope, yet nothing could steel her for what is about to happen. Out in the pastures, young Thomas Coleman works with the ranch hands, his youthful resolve firm despite the mounting anxieties. He's always been keen to establish his worth, to be a guardian of the family's heritage. But when one of the foremen rides up with critical news, the color drains from his face. The message is brief but calamitous. Someone within their own outfit has turned against them. Treachery isn't unfamiliar to the Colemans, but this instance strikes closer than ever. Jonah assembles his people, his voice even but laced with suppressed fury. They had trusted this individual, accepted them into their fold, and now that bond has been violated. The betrayal isn't merely an assault on the family, it's an assault on everything they've constructed, everything they've toiled for. And Jonah understands that if they don't respond swiftly, the repercussions will be dire. As they prepare for the necessary actions, another menace looms far away. Silas Coleman, thousands of miles distant, confronts his own struggle. He and Amelia have narrowly endured the perils of the untamed backcountry, and now their journey homeward is fraught with more danger than before. The path ahead is rife with unknown foes, and the nearer they draw to their homeland, the more apparent it becomes that someone is actively preventing their return. The pieces are aligning, the act of betrayal has been initiated, and as the storm clouds mass over Clearwater, one truth is stark: this confrontation is far from concluded. As the gravity of the betrayal settles upon Clearwater Holding, Jonah Coleman tightens his control. This treachery isn't a mere act of faithlessness, it's a deliberate maneuver designed to strike them at their most vulnerable. Someone within their trusted inner circle has leaked intelligence to their adversaries, revealing their vulnerabilities and leaving them exposed. The land they've fought to keep, the legacy they've shed blood to maintain, is now threatened as never before, and the most bitter part, the turncoat is still among them, observing, waiting, poised to inflict more harm. Inside the residence, Sarah Coleman's hands shake as she reads a covertly delivered note. The message is ambiguous but chilling. You are exposed. They are approaching. Her heart races. The note is unsigned, and there's no way to identify the sender, but one thing is certain: someone is about to make a decisive move, and it's imminent. She conceals the note, forcing herself to maintain composure. Panic would only worsen the situation. If there's one lesson she's learned through the years, it's that fear can be as lethal as any weapon. Meanwhile, out on the range, Thomas Coleman scrutinizes the faces of the men working alongside him. Any one of them could be the informant. His jaw tightens as he reflects on the lives already forfeited, the price they've paid for this land. He refuses to let their sacrifices be for naught. But how do you combat an enemy when their identity is unknown? A disturbing thought occurs to him. What if the traitor isn't just a hired worker? What if it's someone much closer, someone they trust implicitly? Back in the nearby settlement, the pressure mounts on the Colemans. A new adversary has surfaced, one that could alter the entire dynamic. Marcus Thorne, the unscrupulous industrialist who has dedicated himself to crushing the Colemans and seizing their property, is manipulating events from the shadows. With each passing day, his grip on the region strengthens. His wealth buys him influence, His connections turn allies into enemies, and now, with an operative inside the Coleman ranks, he holds a distinct advantage. But Thorne isn't solely interested in land. He wants to see Jonah Coleman utterly defeated. He desires the Clearwater legacy wiped from existence, and if he must raise everything to achieve that, while the conflict intensifies at home, Silas Coleman's journey becomes ever more fraught. He and Amelia have contended with savage creatures, perilous terrains, and the savagery of men intent on their harm. But the greatest peril still awaits them, relentless pursuers, and the unforgiving wilderness. Yet nothing compares to the threat that now dogs their steps. The closer they get to familiar shores, the more obstacles materialize. It's almost as if a hidden hand is ensuring they never complete their voyage. A fierce squall forces their vessel to alter its course, delaying their arrival once more. But fate has far more brutal designs for them. In the dead of night, Silas is jolted awake by the sound of furtive movements outside their quarters. His instincts scream danger. He reaches for his sidearm, his heart thudding. He's been hunted before. He recognizes the sensation of imminent death. Before he can fully react, the door splinters open. A group of armed assailants rushes in, their faces masked by darkness. Amelia cries out, reaching for Silas, but he's already in motion, already defending. The fight is savage. Desperate fists connect, shots ring out in the confined space of the ship. Silas takes a blow but refuses to yield. He fights like a man with everything to lose, but the numbers are against, and when a weapon is pressed to Amelia's head, he is compelled to make an unbearable choice: surrender, or watch the woman he loves perish. Back on the Clearwater, the morning delivers more than just sunlight. It brings bloodshed. A body is discovered near the stables, the message unmistakable: this is merely a prelude. The Colemans have been warned, but they are far from beaten. Jonah Coleman stands over the deceased, his face a mask of cold fury. The traitor has acted, and now it's time for the Colemans to respond. The sun climbs over the plains, but it offers no solace. The Colemans are besieged, not only by their declared enemies, but by betrayal festering within. The atmosphere is heavy with a tension that settles on a man's spirit and makes his fingers itch for a trick. Inside the house, Jonah Coleman glares at the blood-smeared message left with the body. The words are crudely scrawled, "You're next." He crumples the paper, his rage simmering. Whoever is responsible believes they can intimidate him, believes they can fracture the Colemans from within. But Jonah has weathered too many conflicts, mourned too many kin, to retreat now. In the town of Oakhaven, the storm is already in full force. Marcus Thorne stands in his opulent office, gazing out at the land as if he already possesses it. He is systematic, merciless. He doesn't just attack, he dismantles, and with an informant relaying information, he knows precisely where to strike the Colemans to inflict maximum pain. The financial institutions are constricting their credit, the local constabulary is growing openly hostile, and rumors in the tavern speak of an impending assault. Thorne doesn't fight fair, he never has, but this time, he doesn't need to. The Colemans are already wounded, and he's merely waiting for their collapse. Back at the ranch, Sarah Coleman's mind races. She moves through the house with deliberate steps, searching for anything amiss. The walls seem thinner, the rooms cold. Someone among them is colluding with Thorne. But who? Every familiar face now carries a shadow of suspicion. She knows Jonah won't rest until he uncovers the traitor, but the truth is, the betrayal may have already inflicted irreparable damage. The longer they delay, the more vulnerable they become. Then a chilling idea takes root. What if the traitor isn't a mere ranch hand, but someone closer? Someone with a more profound motive for turning against them? Meanwhile, Thomas Coleman is honing his hunting knife, the steel reflecting the dim morning light. His anger is a consuming fire, growing hotter with each moment. He craves justice, but more than that, he desires retribution. His father taught him that their land wasn't just soil, it was blood sacrifice, a legacy etched into the very earth, and if anyone thought they could steal it, they would soon learn the cost of crossing a Coleman. But even as Thomas prepares for the inevitable confrontation, another realization strikes him. This war is no longer just about their land, it's about sheer survival. Miles away, Silas Coleman's ordeal persists. The assault on the ship was no mere accident, it was a clear warning. But who dispatched those men? He and Amelia are forced into hiding, their journey to safety now more treacherous than ever. The ship's captain refuses to answer their questions, his fear palpable in his evasive gaze. Silas clenches his fists, his patience wearing. He's fought battles in remote wilderness, faced down predators with nothing but his wits and a rifle, and now he's being hunted like an animal. But he is no one's prey, he is a Coleman. That night, as the ship navigates under an overcast sky, Silas feels the weight of a decision pressing upon him. If he and Amelia continue on their current path, more blood will inevitably be spilled. He is no stranger to violence, but Amelia is, and if anything happens to her, if he loses her now, he will never forgive himself. The mere thought is intolerable, but even as he contemplates an alternative course, fate intervenes once more. The ship lurches violently, an explosion tearing through its structure. The sound is deafening, the chaos instantaneous. Silas barely has time to react before water surges in. Amelia screams his name, reaching for him as their world disintegrates around them. Back on the clear water, the Colemans prepare for war. Jonah stands with his rifle, his eyes scanning the horizon. He knows what's approaching. The enemy is closing, but if they think they can take Clearwater, they'll have to fight for every single acre, and Jonah Coleman has no intention of losing. Dark clouds gather over Clearwater holding, a portent of events to come. The air is dense with unease. As the Colemans brace for an attack they know is unavoidable, Jonah stands on the main porch, his grip firm on his rifle. His weathered features are etched with resolve, but behind those keen eyes, a tempest of thoughts churns. The betrayal someone within their walls feeding Thorn intelligence has left a bitter taste he can't A Coleman never falters in a fight, but knowing the enemy is nearer than he imagined makes this conflict far more perilous. Inside the house, Sarah Coleman paces, piecing together clues that refuse to align. The missing livestock, the ambushed supply runs, the perfectly timed raids. None of it was coincidental. Someone has been orchestrating their decline from the inside, ensuring every blow landed where it would hurt most. The unsettling conviction in her gut tells her the traitor isn't just any hired man, it's someone with privileged access, someone they trusted. Her mind cycles through possibilities, but before she can focus on a suspect, the door bursts open. Thomas Coleman storms in, his face flushed with anger. "We've been outmaneuvered," Thomas snarls, slamming his hat on the table. "They hit the north pasture last night, cut the fences, drove off half our herd." His fists clench. Someone knew exactly when and where to strike. Jonah exhales sharply, his patience stretched to its limit. They've been holding the line, repelling every assault, but their defenses are being steadily eroded. If they don't act decisively, Clearwater will belong to Thorn. Before Jonah can articulate a plan, the sound of galloping hooves echoes in the distance. A lone rider approaches, his face obscured by the shadow of his hat. As he draws closer, his identity is revealed. It's Miles, one of their most dependable hands. His horse is coated in sweat, his face streaked with dust and fear. "Boss," Miles gasps, struggling for breath. "It's happening." The sheriff's posse, they're riding in force, and Thorn, he's already making his play. The room falls silent, the gravity of the moment pressing down on them. This isn't just another skirmish, this is the final confrontation. Meanwhile, in town, Marcus Thorn sits in the dim light of his office, swirling a glass of amber liquid. Across from him sits the traitor, an individual the Colemans never suspected. The man's hands tremble slightly, a flicker of guilt in his eyes, but Thorn merely smirks. "Regret won't serve you well in this world," Thorn states coolly, "but power will, and you've just secured your place at the table." Back at the ranch, the Colemans prepare for the onslaught. Weapons are checked, horses are readied, there's no retreat now. But just as Jonah is about to give the command to ride out, a single gunshot rips through the air. The sound is stark, cutting through the tense silence. Like a razor, a scream follows, a sound that makes every heart seize. Sarah Coleman turns towards the sound, her breath catch. She knows that voice. She rushes to the front of the house, her eyes scanning the unfolding chaos, and then she sees it. Thomas is on his knees, cradling a lifeless form in his arms. Blood pools beneath them, staining the earth a dark crimson. The betrayal wasn't just about land, it was about stripping everything from them, and now the ultimate price has been paid. The sound of the gunshot still reverberates through the valley, a chilling testament that war has truly arrived at Clearwater. Thomas Coleman's voice is choked with grief as Jonah Coleman steps forward, his expression unreadable, his eyes burning with a vengeful fire. "Get inside," he commands, his voice low but absolute. "We don't have time for more." But Thomas doesn't move, his body rigid, his heart pounding so fiercely, it drowns out all else. He looks up at his grandfather, his eyes wild with agony. "We allowed this," he mutters, his voice barely audible. "We let them strip everything from." Sarah Coleman kneels beside him, placing a gentle yet firm hand on his shoulder. "There's still a fight ahead," she says, her voice steady despite the turmoil within her, "and we need you ready for." Thomas clenches his jaw, his fingers tightening on the fabric of the fallen man's shirt. One last time before he finally relinquishes his grip, he closes the eyes of their lost companion, his own heart hardening with a new resolve. "Then let's end this," he growls. Inside the ranch house, the atmosphere is thick with foreboding. Jonah gathers his remaining men, their faces grim with determination. The Colemans have repelled numerous threats before, but this one is different. This one has a name, a face, and now, a body count. Miles stands by the window, rifle in hand, counted at least 24 riders coming from the west, he reports. Thorne isn't just sending hired thugs anymore, he's got the lawmen with him. Jonah nods, his mind races. The local sheriff had always been reluctant to intervene, but Thorne had found a way to sway him. Bribery, intimidation, whatever it took. Now, the Colemans are outnumbered and ostensibly outgunned, but that doesn't mean we're beaten, Jonah says, his voice cutting through the tension. "We fight smart. We know this land better than they do. We use it." Outside, the enemy is closing in. Dust plumes rise in the distance as horses thunder towards the ranch. The men are heavily armed, their faces set with grim purpose. Marcus Thorne isn't among them. He never dirties his own hand, but his shadow looms over the entire operation. Thomas grips his rifle, his heart pounding with a mixture of dread and anticipation. "They don't walk away from this," he mutters. The first shot cracks the air, igniting the battle. Instantly, bullets fly, shattering windows, splintering wood. The Colemans return fire, each shot fueled by rage, by grief, by the desperate need to protect what little remains. Miles takes cover behind an overturned wagon, his aim steady, as he picks off the advancing men. Sarah reloads with practiced speed, her movements quick and efficient. She may not be a trained soldier, but she's always been a survivor. Jonah stands at the heart of the melee, his rifle bucking against his shoulder with each shot. He moves with the instinct of a man who has spent his life in conflict, who has seen too much blood spilled over land and power. Thomas fights like a man possessed, his fury making him reckless. He steps into the open, firing shot after shot, his vision hazed by adrenaline. A bullet screams past his ear, narrowly missing him, but he doesn't flinch. The Colemans are holding their ground, but the enemy presses on. One by one, their numbers diminish, but still they advance. Thorne's men don't fight with conviction, they fight with greed, with promises of land and riches fueling their assault. Then, from out of nowhere, a piercing whistle cuts through the din of battle, a signal, a warning. From the tree line, a group of riders emerges, fast and deadly. At first their allegiance is unclear, but then the realization dawns. It's Silas. His return is as unexpected as his departure was prolonged. Flanked by men hardened by their own wars and survivals, he charges into the fray without a moment's hesitation. His rifle finds its mark with every shot, his sudden appearance shifting the tide of battle in an instant. Thomas stares in disbelief for a heartbeat, before a weary grin touches his lips. "Took you long enough." Silas barely spares him a glance. "Let's conclude this." The battle rages on, but now the Colemans have a flicker of hope. The momentum is changed. Thorne's men, once so confident of their victory, now find themselves on the defensive. But just as victory seems within grasp, a new horror unfolds. A gunshot sharp and precise rings out, and this time when a body falls, it isn't one of Thorne's mercenaries, it's one of their own. The war is far from finished, and the Colemans have just paid another terrible price for daring to fight it. Silence descends upon the battlefield, but it is not the silence of peace. It is the heavy, suffocating silence of profound loss. Smoke drifts in the air, curling from the barrels of guns that have finally fallen quiet. The acrid smell of gunpowder and blood settles into the earth, mingling with the shattered remnants of what was once a home, a sanctuary, a promise of something enduring. But tonight, the Coleman legacy teeters on the brink of annihilation. Thomas Coleman kneels beside the latest fallen, his hands